Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Intuitive Angling out here in the tackle room. Actually, early in the morning right now. I'm getting ready to head to Stockton Lake for an on-the-water lesson today. It's supposed to be a nice day out there. It's supposed to be in the 60s, so should be some good fishing, good time out there. And today's video, what I want to talk about is I wanted to sort of do a review of who, in my own opinion, were the 5 most influential people in bass fishing, in the bass fishing world in 2021. Sort of go through each one of them, sort of let you know why I felt that way about them. And I'd be curious to know everybody's out there too, if you guys are curious to that. But hey, real quick before we just get started, just want to remind you guys a couple different things here. If you guys are interested in any Christmas fishing tackle purchases, any prep for your tournaments or upcoming fishing trips you got, check out the Baitworks tackle store online or in person in Springfield, Missouri here. I'll include the link in the description here. If you use that link, it's a good way to help the channel out. It's one of the greatest tackle stores in the United States. They got everything there, man. So check them out, Baitworks, Springfield, Missouri, link in the description. And also, I just wanted to address yesterday, I did that video on the Bass Pro Shop $1 million tournament. And I got a lot of feedback on that, good and bad. I offended a lot of Bass Pro Shop Johnny Morris fans, and I just wanted to clarify to everybody, I am a big fan of Johnny Morris. Don't get me wrong. I have complimented that guy over and over again for what he's done to the community and his conservation efforts and, you know, his brand building with Bass Pro. The point of that video was I was basically saying if I was running the tournament, how I would have handled it, but that is to no way to think that I'm not a fan of Johnny Morris, because I am. He's a Springfield resident like I am, and he's definitely done a lot for the sport. So anyway, let's get into this top 5 here. I'm still coughing a little bit from my head cold. I'm going to start with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and sort of give you the ranking there. So start with number 5 here. Number 5 is Brian Latimer, B-Lat. Brian Latimer, if you guys haven't followed him, he's got huge YouTube following. He's got close to 200,000 YouTube subscribers, or getting close to it. Tournament angler, been for many years, FLW Tour champion. The reason I picked Brian Latimer as one of the influential anglers in the sport is his impact that he's having on his social media. That impact comes in so many different forms. He has got not only a tremendous educational channel, but it's extremely entertaining as well, and it's extremely diverse. The format that he uses for his YouTube channel and the reach that it has, the reason I put him on the list is that he appeals to such a wide range of people, regardless of if you're interested in fishing or not. If you don't know anything about bass fishing and you tuned into one of Brian Latimer's YouTube videos, it would keep your attention, because he's either got something with his family going on, he's talking about life on the road, mowing his lawn, fishing, whatever. It's an extremely entertaining channel, and it presents fishing in a very realistic light. He shows the good, he shows the bad, he shows the struggles, he shows the triumphs. It's just bass fishing is very well represented by him. And, you know, I really like Brian a lot. I think he's just great I think he's a great ambassador for the sport. And I definitely think that his social media presence puts him in the top 5 as the most influential. Guys, social media, I'm telling you right now, it's taken over everything as far as what traditionally people associated as marquee or well-known anglers are. Tournament anglers are just not that well-known anymore compared to social media bass fishing YouTubers. They're just not. They don't have the following. The times are changing right before our eyes, and Brian Latimer's taking advantage of that for sure in a good way. Okay, number 5. Number 4 is Mike Iaconelli. Mike Iaconelli is a one-man powerhouse. That dude, if you follow Mike, he has got so many irons in the fire. I can't even keep up with him. He's got a big podcast he does every week. He's got Bass Fishing University. He's got his whole Ike brand. He's fishing with professional bowlers, Kyle Troop, and shows he's putting on. He qualified for the Elite Series in the middle of all this. He qualified for the Toyota Series Championship this year. That dude is all over the place. I don't even think he sleeps. But the reason Mike is on the list of the most influential is he's made such a huge impact on the sport this past year with just everything he's got going on in media and in the tournament realms. I mean, he has been successful absolutely everything. Anything that you can think of in social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, fishing shows, he's there. And again, he's one of those anglers that crosses a line. He reaches a wider range of people to attract to the sport than almost anybody out there. I would put Iaconelli at probably the number one person that has exposed the sport to the outside world that people aren't familiar within bass fishing. I can't really think of anyone else that has done that over the past year. So I got Mike at number 4. Number 3 is fellow Mega Bass Pro staffer Oliver Nye. You may or may not know who Oliver is. Oliver has a business, social media business that he identifies as the Big Bass Dreams. And Oliver has made a name for himself. He's extremely famous within fishing circles because he basically spends all his time fishing for big bass with big baits, giant baits. And he's going all over the country, all over the world, throwing these things for peacock bass, stripers, largemouth. I think he's caught a 17-pound largemouth before. Fished all the Bassmaster Opens this year. Put everything up on his social media. He's like Iaconelli in the sense that he's all over the place with content on social media. And if you follow social media, it's hard not to have seen Oliver Nye sometime in 2021. He's basically stepped it up to the next level in the amount of content he puts out. He's all over the place. I mean, him and his girlfriend, Riley, they're sort of a team together. They've traveled all over the country. They fish together. They do a lot of videos, do a lot of content together. And I don't know if there's a state they haven't been in this year. Just fishing constantly, putting up social media content and, exposing people to big bass and big baits. So, again, Oliver's another one of those social media influencers out there. I don't think you can deny he's one of the most influential people of 2021. Number 4, back again to Johnny Morris. I've been talking about Johnny a lot over the last couple months with Bass Pro Shops and the tournament he's putting on, everything he does with Wonders of Wildlife, Big Cedar Lodge, Bass Pro Shop. And the thing about Johnny Morris, here's the thing about it, guys. Johnny Morris has a lot of people that really like him, and he's got some people that don't like him. But when you're a doer, like Johnny Morris is, Johnny's a doer, and when people that aren't doers, it's easy to sit on the sidelines and criticize a doer. That's just comes with the territory. So anybody that's mega successful like Johnny Morris and being one of the wealthiest people on this planet, he's going to polarize a lot of people. But Johnny Morris is without a doubt one of the most influential people in the sport. I mean, his reach in bass fishing is far and wide. Aside from all the boat brands he owns, Bass Pro Shop, the entire brand of Bass Pro Shop goes so far beyond just a fish and tackle store or a retail store. It's an energy itself. There's a lot of heritage behind it, and he's carefully crafted this Bass Pro Shop brand around the Ozarks heritage around here and brought it all over the country. He's involved in NASCAR. He has his hands in professional golfing. He's buddies with Tiger Woods. He's hung out with United States presidents, actors, actresses. I mean, he's literally one of those guys that has. I don't think there's another person out there that has taken the sport of bass fishing and exposed it on such a global level as Johnny Morris has. And he continues to do so. And his deal with Bass Pro Shop, that $1 million tournament this year, is just another example of it, of the efforts he's putting forth with that. I mean, his his conservation contributions are unparalleled. I would say there's probably not another person on this in the history of the planet that has done as much for conservation, aside, I guess you could argue, Teddy Roosevelt when he established the park system back in the early 1900s. But Teddy Roosevelt and Johnny Morris are on the same plane as far as conservation. And like I said, some of you guys may think I'm critical of Bass Pro Shops and Johnny. I am a big Johnny Morris fan. I really am. I've known him for a long time. I like, what he's done for the sport. And he's without a doubt, one of the most influential people in the sport in 2021. Number 2, Johnny Morris. Okay, number 1 is my buddy Aaron Martens. Good friend. We lost Aaron last month. Everybody knows. Huge loss for the sport. And, I've had a chance to become really close friends with Aaron. I was super close with Aaron back in the early 2000s when we were traveling together. And if you followed Aaron's illness the last couple of years, he's documented it heavily on social media prior to his death last month, over the last year in 2021. And anybody that's followed Aaron and knew him, the amount of courage and the grace that he handled that illness with was exemplary, to say the least. For somebody to have that type of injustice handed to him at such a young age, I just don't know anyone that could handle it so good. I mean, he fought it to the end. I mean, he was given a year to live when they diagnosed it. He a 1% chance of living for a year, only 1%, and he had lasted almost 2 years. You can't deny. I mean, his fighting spirit. I mean, it was. If you knew him, you just knew that's just how he was. And I think that I don't think he gave up until right at the very end, where he just didn't have anything left in him. And even at that point, he handled the entire process of death that everybody has to go through, in different forms, shapes and forms, just so admirably. And, during that whole course, even in 2020, he competed on the MLF tour. He made a check at Lake Champlain like 2 months before he died. So for Aaron Martens, is without a doubt, I don't think there's anyone close to being the most influential bass angler in the sport. He touched so many people with his personality and his energy over the years, over 20 years of fishing. Nobody else out there like him at all. If you knew Aaron, like a handful of us knew him very closely, you know how unique he was. It's one of those people that, some people are just more unforgettable than others, and Aaron was unforgettable. I mean, if you were around him, you know what I'm talking about. I don't even have to say with it. But anyway, Aaron Martens, number 1 most influential angler in the sport over the past year for a lot of different reasons. But anyway, guys, that's my list. Aaron Martens, number 1, Johnny Morris, number 2, Oliver Nye, number 3, Iaconelli, number 4, and Brian Latimer, number 5. Shoot me your guys. I'd be curious to hear your guys' list, what you think the 5 most influential hoggers out there were, and make for a good discussion. But anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. Please hit that subscribe button if you won't. If you haven't, much appreciated. And appreciate all the fans out there. Appreciate all the guys I piss off all the time, and send me messages and say I'm done, I'm unsubscribed, or I can't make everybody happy. I can't be everything to everybody. You just got to be yourself, and that's what we all have to do. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm gonna head up to Stockton Lake, and we'll see y'all later.